Okay, hello everyone. My name is Melissa Andrade and I'm the marketing director here at DataMyte. We are all very excited to have you on the line as we launch our DataMyte Revolution, our newest generation of portable data collection. In today's webinar, we will cover many topics. A brief overview of DataMyte data collectors. We will also walk through the benefits of upgrading to the new DataMyte Revolution, giving an in-depth side-by-side comparison of the functionality and features to the 600 data collector. Then we will show the device's integration capabilities with added value software programs to enhance your data intelligence and reporting capabilities, all of which help to manage a dynamic process to improve quality in your organization. Today, we will have a 30 to 35-minute presentation given by Theo Hermans, our Director of Distributor Sales, and Vicki Perry, a Solution Engineer from DataMyte in the US. We also have a large panel with representatives from ASI DataMyte Italia on the line to answer questions. The audio capability is turned off for you while joining us today. If you have specific questions, please send them in at any time through the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel. You can send your questions in at any time in Italian. We will try to address all questions, but if we are not able to get to yours, a solution expert will get back to you. This webinar is recorded and you will receive a link to it afterwards. Now at this time, I will turn our presentation over to Theo Hermans.
So thank you, Melissa. So again, my Italian is not the best, sorry for that, so mi scusi, non parlo molto bene italiano, ma capisco un poco. So that's all what I know in Italian, so sorry for that. So about ASI DataMyte, most of you know ASI DataMyte for years. The DataMyte is a well-known product, and we sold more than 1,000 units worldwide over the years. So it started in the 60s, and in 1969, we started finally with the data collection devices, but too with SPC software. We had at that time Pathfinder, Quantum, etc. software, one of the first on the market with SPC software. But if you go through the different types of data collectors which we developed over the years, about 20 years ago we developed the 3000. It's even more than 20 years ago. We had the 3000 series, which are still used by some customers. What means is that the data collectors of ASI DataMyte are very, very ruggedized and liked by the operators. So they're still in use with some torque ranges. I've seen them in some plants, and that proves that our data collectors are really, really made for industrial environments. And that is what is in the standard since 1969. So we provided rugged systems for data collection of attributive or variable data acquisition for SPC and management information analysis. So about 10 years ago, we moved with the data collectors to the 600, the DataMyte 600, which is well known. And it was a big change compared with the older versions because we had color display with possibilities to add instructions, pictures, and whatever that helped the operator, once he was in a shift on the assembly line, to define and to know where he had to take the measurements, eventually to see a video of what he had to do there, or a text or a note that he could eventually be helped to do his measurement. So that was a graphical aided data collection design that was new at that time and helped a lot for complex auditing routes. So the data collector, of course, was used with our Lightstar torque ranges, wired and wireless. The wireless via Bluetooth and the wired via a USB or a different type of connection. So it interfaced directly with all type of digital gauges. We connected to the LMI gauges, to the micrometers, to the calibers. So all type of gauges we could connect to seal gaps and whatever. So it was a data collector not only for torque, residual torque measurement, but for a lot of gauges that could be connected, wired or wireless. So, and it was, as I said already, for manufacturing environments. So designed and built for the sole purpose of fast, low labor, error-proof, industrial quality data collection in a portable gauging applications. So it was a trusted solution that improves data integrity and process traceability in manufacturing environments. So now, but everything comes to an end. So after 10 years, we decided to move to a next step of data collectors with much more possibilities, and that is the DM revolution. So let's start with it. So the revolution has the same ruggedized tradition as all the data collectors we had before. What I forgot to say is that the glass we use on the screen, as well as for the 600, as well as for the DM Revolution, is, I forgot the name, I think it's Gorilla Glass. And I saw on YouTube lately a video from somebody who was hitting a nail in a wooden block with the screen. So really, it is a strong, very, very strong screen, as well as the design is like with the 600, very, very strong. So it communicates, of course, with the central database as the 600, as the former data collectors. You can have the web reportings, you can have the analysis, just as with the 600. But of course, and that is very important, all the setups or the inspection plans you created for the 600, or the gauges or the algorithms can be used also for the 600. So you can upload them to the 600 or download them to the Revolution. It works well. So you do not have to recreate all your setups, and that is pretty important. So it makes it much easier. So this is what is written here: with same ruggedized, durable to withstand tough plant conditions. Same inspection plans, setups, and gauge suites can be used on the 600 and the Revolution. So data continues to go to the same Datametrics suite as the 600. So you have a full backwards compatibility, and that is, yeah, that makes it easier. So as I already mentioned, it has a universal connectivity, not only to the LightStar torque ranges for residual torque measurement, as we had them already for years, wired or wireless, as you see on the picture on the left side, but through also for the calibers, for the micrometers, for gap and flush, seal gap devices, where we sold a lot of equipment for, because it is wireless connected to the data collector. When you close the door, you cannot have a wire. So this is pretty nice. You have the LMI gauges for fixtures, gap and flush. So again, all digital devices which are on the market, we can connect to, together with our torque wrenches, our LightStar torque wrenches. So we have 3 versions. So to keep it simple, we developed 3 versions for the Revolution. So you have the first, the torque version, which is for the LightStar wireless wrenches, connectable via Bluetooth. And you see on the top side, you have that small ruggedized USB, special USB connector that is to connect to the wired LightStar torque wrenches, as well as that you have a barcode reader. And the barcode reader for the DM Revolution has much more possibilities than with the 600. So I'll come back to that. Then we have a version for our digital and LMI and micro-rich equipment, where you can connect all your digital devices, items, plus on the back side, you have the connector to connect to your central database if you want to have a wired connection, but 2, you can connect your wired torque wrenches, your wired light star torque wrenches to this device. So you have two possibility to upload, download data there if you want to, and you have the possibility to connect a torque wrench. So it is pretty simple, but you have the complete all the possibilities here to connect to your devices. So now the big difference with the 600 is that the DM Revolution is very user-friendly. It's a little bit like Google. It's like your mobile phone or your tablet. It's a touch screen, so you do not have to toggle in on your keyboard all the time. So it's a touch screen with two bars on top and on bottom where you easy can navigate through. You have a possibility to zoom in, zoom out. You can scroll your pictures. So you have a lot of possibilities. So the user-friendly interface makes that you can much faster go through your setup, have your pictures, your notifications, your documents available, and in one click you can access all this. So quicker to get setups, improve image quality navigation through your touch screen, and ability to respond in an easier way now with a full screen, on-screen keyboard. Yes, with your mobile, you have that possibility too. If you want to type in some text, the keyboard pushes, jumps up. That's the same here. You have your keyboard that comes available on the screen, as well as, of course, that you still can use your hardware keyboard that is on your data collector. So the screen is larger, just as I said, with the touch screen capability, and you have, it's about 42% bigger, easy to read. It's a clear resolution, high definition images for visual guided work instructions. So that gives you a better view and a better visibility. And an intuitive image map manipulation. You have the zoom in, the zoom out, rotate, the pan. So that gives you an advantage if you want to zoom in and to see really where the point of measurement is, where you have to take it. You zoom in or whatever. You have your instructions. You can zoom in, you can rotate. Gives you a lot of more possibilities. There is another feature which is very nice, and especially with the supplementary apps where Vicky will speak about a little bit later, the possibilities with a high definition camera are very important for the supplementary apps or the additional apps which we will install on the data collector in the future. But it gives you more possibilities too. So take high definition pictures. The 600 does not have a camera, and the ability to capture pictures for cause and corrective actions. And you'll see a little bit later on in the slides that with our Wi-Fi permanent communication with the database, it's very, very important to, and the possibility to send easily pictures to via email or whatever. So the barcode was also available on the 600, but here we have more possibilities than with the 600 to activate the barcode in a different manner. So of course it can be used for product codes, for VIN numbers, and that allows you to have the traceability in the process. It gives you, the barcode reader seems to be better than with the 600 because you can see through the windshields. So if you have reflections and so on, it seems to be, and which is a nice feature that you can still take the VIN number or the code which is behind the windshield in the car. So that prevents mistakes due to manual user input, of course. If you have to enter these figures, like a VIN code, which is pretty long, if you have to enter that manually, so the risk for error is pretty big. So And you will see a little bit further in the slides that the activation of the barcode reader is much easier than it was on the 600, where you had to push several buttons at the same time to activate it. But the barcode reader has much more possible functionalities than on the 600, and the next slides I'll show you that. So here you see added the supplementary value of the DM Revolution. So it has a functionality like in Google search. You have a search mode. So imagine that you have about 200 setups in your data collector, and you have, and in the morning the operator starts in his shift to go through the routes and do his measurements and capture. So here, if he wants to go through the right setup, he clicks on the barcode touch button just behind the search mode, and automatically he jumps to the right setup. In case that it is on paper or somewhere noticed, with the barcode reader, he clicks on it, looks to the paper, points to the paper where the setup is on, and automatically goes to the right setup. Of course, in the search mode, and sorry, I was a little bit wrong. In the search mode, you type in via the keyboard what pops up, the first characters of the setup, and automatically you jump to the right setup. So you have two possibilities. You type in part of your setup or your characteristic or whatever, and you jump straight on to the right setup. And if you have 100 setups, that gives you really an advantage. You save time. And as I said, you can activate the same functionality with the barcode reader if you have a paper where your different setups or your gauges or your characteristics are on. You point with the barcode reader on it, and automatically it activates the right characteristic or the right setup. So the barcode reader has more functionalities than it was for the 600. So you see it as a very user-friendly device, the DM Revolution, with a lot of more possibilities, user-friendly compared with the former data collectors we had. So it is, as I just said, a Google-like advanced search capability. So easily search for information on the device for setup, gauges, characteristics, and reports. So save time, especially for companies if you have a lot of setups. You do not have to scroll through the setups anymore. You type in some letters of the setup and you jump to it. So, and what I just said, you have the optional barcode reader that quickly access the setups if you have them somewhere on a list on paper. So another new feature on the Revolution is the vibration. So you know our talk ranges have, of course, LED alarms, a buzzer, and vibration. But in some cases, it is interesting too that the data collector vibrates. Imagine that you have an LMI device or whatever, a gap and flush device connected to the data collector, and you go out of spec, then the data collector will vibrate. So it prevents you in a noisy environment where you do not hear the buzzer or you do not see well the light. Automatically you feel it that the data collector starts to vibrate. And that is a condition of alarming or whatever, non-conformity or out of spec. You can define by yourself when that vibration or that alarm has to be activated. There is another very nice functionality with the DM Revolution, and that was not available on the former data collectors, is we have, and I'll go more in details about that, we have a Wi-Fi near real-time communication with our database and our software on the central station. So it is a Wi-Fi communication real-time, so we can send out emails in case it is needed to a person in case of alarm or out of spec or causal and corrective actions or non-conformity. So, and that is really, really a nice feature that in case something happens on the assembly line or in production, something goes wrong, and that is not always the case that it has to be done, but in some cases it is really needed to send out some information to a responsible person that can take direction actions. Often the operator can help himself. If it is a bolt that is maybe untight or whatever, he can solve the problem by himself, but not always. There is also a functionality, and we'll speak later, Vicky will speak about, and that's escalation mode, which is very, very, very nice. So this is what's written here in this slide. We have the tactile vibration and the near real-time feedback and notifications. So alarms, audio, LED are already available, but now we have vibration on conditions with non-conformity and nearly real time. The Revolution has the option for automatic background upload of collect data. It's because we communicate real time via Wi-Fi, and there is an immediate email notification with continuous Wi-Fi. So that is a new feature, and it's very nice for the operators to have that real time. You do not have to wait till the end of the shift. Real time, when you're on the assembly line, the information is transmitted directly to the concerned person, if needed, of course. So compared with the 600, the screen on the left side is our 600, and on the right side you have the screens of the DM Revolution. As I already said, on the right side, you have the possibility to have the search functionality. If you want to go to a setup, when you're on the assembly line or on the production, you type in the first characteristics or whatever from the setup or the characteristic you want to see, and you jump straight on to the concerned setup. You have the keyboard, as I already said, that pops up on the screen, where you can enter with your touch screen. You can enter, like on your mobile phone, the letters and the characters, or you use, of course, on the Revolution, you can use the hardware's touch, which the keyboard, which is on the data collector. On the left side, and now I come back to the case that you have hundreds of setups in your route. With the 600, you had to scroll down and down and down to the right setup and then activate it. So you lose a lot of time to scroll through it. Of course, if you have only a few ones, it's not critical. But if you have a lot, you can win a lot of time for your operator to directly access the right setup or inspection plan. So that is a big advantage for the DM Revolution compared with the former data collector, where you had to scroll through the whole list of setups or characteristics. Can help. So I already mentioned it. We have a Wi-Fi communication, permanent communication with the data collector and our central database and our Datametrics software, or the Transcend 2 software, which is still for the 600 was available, but now it works too with the DM Revolution. So automatic data upload, nearly real time. So, and that is a possibility that the 600 did not have. So continuous Wi-Fi, of course, you can condition when the data is uploaded to the central database. You can do it end of the subgroup, and even if the data is missing, which happens, there are some measurements which are missing, you can select that the data is still uploaded directly to the central database. Or you can select that once the subgroup is completed, all data must be completed, and then the upload can be done, or on accept or manually. So you have different possibilities when the upload happens from the data collector to the central database. So, but it's a continuous Wi-Fi communication. It's nearly real time. So I think there is only, maybe Vicky can explain that a little bit later. Maybe there is a few, maybe a half a second or some milliseconds delay between the measurement and the data uploaded to the data collector. So it's nearly nothing. It helps a lot because your statistics, your information, your alarming automatically is visible for the managers or for the team leaders on the central stations via the central database. So a big advantage is too that, and most of you know that if you're in a very noisy environment, and when I speak about noisy environment is that you have a lot of electrical motors that gives a lot of electromagnetic interferences, and that can screw your Wi-Fi communication. For some customers, they still want wired connections between data collectors and their devices, their gauges, because they have so heavy interferences. But for our data collector, that's not a problem because it has a local database cache. So if you lose the Wi-Fi due to whatever reason it is, the operator does not see the difference in this way, that it continues to work perfectly and it caches the data in the data collector as long as the Wi-Fi is not there. Once the Wi-Fi pops up again, automatically the data is downloaded to the central computer. So that is a big advantage. So, and compared with mobile phone or tablet, I had already experienced when you lose the Wi-Fi, believe me, you lose data. And that may not happen. So our data collector is completely proof against that. We never lose any data. It is cached locally. Once the Wi-Fi is perfectly up and running again, then the upload starts again. So this is a little bit about this slide. You have an offline data collector, local database cache, continue to collect even without connectivity to your network, reinforces traceability of your data, prevent data loss, just as I said. And with data collection on a phone, that's what I just mentioned. A mobile phone or a tablet is not data-proof in communication. When you lose Wi-Fi or you lose your Bluetooth, you can lose data. So with the data collector, with the DM Revolution, no way to lose any data. So we spoke already about the navigation bars. The screen on the DM Revolution has two navigation bars, one on the top and one on the bottom. And with the touch screen, you can easily navigate through what you want to see. If you go to data, okay, you click on the data. You want to have images on that. You want to see the descriptors. You click on it, easy done. So you do not have several keystrokes or keys to push in. It's like a little bit Google-like or Google browser-like, very easy, very convenient, very user-friendly. So the information you see on the screen is, you have the alias of, in this case, as you see the setup. So as I said already, the 600, you need several keystrokes to push in. So navigation via keyboard combinations are also available on the Revolution. Yes, the keyboard is still there, so you still can use it in some cases. So intuitive, easier navigation allows easy access to images, descriptors, and setup. There is another feature which is important, and I'll speak about that, is what is behind the gauge you selected, and that is the serial number, and that is for traceability, very important. So, automatic gauge synchronization. The data collector recognizes the range or light star range, what is connected to it. So if you're in a setup and you selected the type of range, let's say a 75 Newton meter range for your measurement for this specific setup, for making the characteristics. If you take the wrong range, it will not work. It refuses it. So it recognizes automatically the correct range, and gives you information about the serial number of that range. So that makes that behind the alias of the range which is connected, you see the serial number. And that's for traceability is very important. Believe me, you would like to know when something happened a month ago. Go back to your setup, go back to the measurements taken, and check what range was used. So this gives you full traceability in your audit, in your measurements. And that is, I know from experience, often requested by customers that allows full traceability. So this is a little bit what is written here. You have the ability to automatically detect and use correct size torque range. So it avoids potentially using incorrect or uncalibrated gauges, because if the range is out of calibration, the data collector will recognize it and refuse to take the measurement, or will inform you about that your range or the gauge you're using is not calibrated or out of calibration. So, and it prevents or at least informs you about. So, and in high production multi-tool environment, potentially could get gauges mixed up. It's to say, yeah, if you do not have that gauge recognition, then it would be damageable if you take the wrong gauge for a setup, because then your measurements are wrong. So it gives a big advantage, recognizable synchronization of the gauge, and the serial number of the gauge is automatically recognized. So this is the screen of the 600 on the left side, and on the right side we see again the screen of the DM Revolution. So the 600 does not display gauging information other than the aliases. Yeah, you see the aliases. The Revolution, as I just said, is that the serial number of the connected gauge is visible, and that is important for traceability. Now, on the 600, we had a nice feature and used by a lot of our customers, especially when connected to a residual torque range, when it was connected to our light star. So in case everything is okay, you take your measurement, your residual torque. In some cases, it appears something is not okay. The data collector refused to take the measurement for one or another reason, or the torque you measure is not okay. Then you click on the 600 on the view mode. You have to go through the keystrokes. It's a little bit complicated, but it gives you the complete curve, as you see on the left side, which allows you then to see what type of bolt you have. Is it flat, or is there a dip, or is there a problem? As a few years ago, we went to a powertrain where they had burrs in the hole, in the tapped hole. So when they tightened the bolt, the measurement was complete. The torque was completely wrong, and we could recognize that. So if you see the curve, the complete curve of the torque, you can recognize what type of bolt it is, what type of connection it is, or see if it is okay or not okay, and detect if maybe you have to change between restart, breakaway, peak torque, or torque at angle. So it gives a tremendous help for the operator to detect what the problem is, or eventually to tell to the management, to the engineers, and see, oh, this is not a restart type of measurement you need, but a peak, because the curve is completely flat. Now, the DM Revolution does the same, but has another supplementary nice feature. You see that small spot, that red spot on the screen. I don't know how you call it. In English, they call that crosshair, whatever it is. It's called crosshair. And that is the point, depending on the algorithm you choose. It is breakaway, restart, but in this case, it's a restart torque at angle. So the advantage is that you can now move this along the curve. So you can see the complete, you can move it and move along the curve and see the complete talk at each point of the curve. So that is a nice feature, which is surely helpful for a lot of customers in some conditions to see really what was the maximum torque, go to the peak point or whatever. So it gives you some help. So this is the revolution. It's easy access to additional view. So you have only to clip, you go to view and you go to talk. So once you click on the view on the top navigation bar, you see on the bottom all the possibilities in the views. You have all your histograms. If you want to go to your CPCP case and you see the histogram, because the statistics are on the data collector, you can visualize it. You can see the exception report everywhere. For every characteristic you were out of specification, you have the characteristic review and you have your torque curve. So very easy done. You click on view and then on torque and automatically your torque curve pops up. So this is a nice feature. Characteristic review, exception reports, histogram. That's what I just said. Dynamic torque curve with touchscreen move crosshair along the curve to see different measurements. So this is about the curve, which I appreciate very much because I was often on the assembly line or on the powertrain, and we checked always the curve. For the 600, it was a nice feature, and for the Revolution, we have even more possibilities. So now, communication. Of course, you want to be sure that your communication is protected. You have a Wi-Fi link with your central database. You have a Bluetooth communication with the range or with other devices. You must be sure that the communication is completely locked, that nobody else can interfere, nobody else can see, and that the gauge and the data collector are one pair and nobody else can interfere in that or destroy that data, what is in between. So this is what is written here. We have a lockdown solution, links directly via Bluetooth, just as I said, via cable, Zigbee, or Wi-Fi, depending on the solution. Impeccable data integrity, data securely transferred and stored into DataMetrics database via Wi-Fi, and then they specify the 2.4 gigahertz, 5.0 gigahertz, whatever it is, or USB cable. So no third-party installations are allowed on the data collector. Only DataMyte Revolution software installed. No other software allowed to be sure that we protect the integrity of the data. Encryption, data is encrypted, and only DataMyte registered devices can be used with the system. So it is a new generation of portable data collectors. And you'll see that a little bit later, VK will start about speaking new applications which we can run on the data collector, that it does much more than the former data collectors we had. So it's a new generation of portable data collectors. This device is so much more than just a data collector, and you'll find out a little bit later. The DataMyte Revolution systems transform data into communication with alerts, notifications, and escalations to drive corrective actions and closed-loop process improvement. About escalations, I didn't go too much in detail, but we have an application that is in preparation that allows you to escalate via email to different persons, and Vicky will give more details about that a little bit later today. So our ability to collect all of your data and place in a central database allows, and that's real time nearly, allows our solutions to leverage powerful new workflow software solutions, which we will discuss shortly. So not just a data collector, it's a data intelligent device. So if you see the full picture of software and hardware that we have in ASI DataMyte, we have, of course, our central database. I forgot to say it's an SQL. We work mostly with SQL databases, and that is what we call our Datametrics database. We can connect all the devices straight on to that Datametrics database. You have, of course, the data collection side with the data collector, where we just spoke about, but also the fixed stations with our SPC software on, communicate straight on with the database Datametrics. We can connect gauges, CMMs, scales. So nearly on connectability, everything what has a serial output on machine that can be USB, RS-232, 485, whatever, and a file output, we can take it in. So we have the capability to parse that information and to get out the exact data, what is in these files, what is needed for the statistics, upper limits, lower limits, the nominal value, etc., etc. So of course, we have our DataMyte Datametrics SPC software. We connect to that central database. We have our analysis and reporting tools, which are available in Datametrics to get your statistics in the right binder, on the right reporting, your production monitor. And then we have here for the data collector, and not only for the data collector, but mostly for the DM Revolution, we have new applications where I like very much the ESCALATE, I already spoke about, but the V-Spect, our inspection software, the digital Clipboard, which is a digital checklist, and these three new tools through applications, we are developing that. And for that, Vicky knows much more about than I do, so I prefer now that Vicky becomes presenter and gives some explanation on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Theo. Could you go to the next slide, please?
Here you are.
Thank you, Theo. And thank you, everyone, for your attention. We have an unprecedented opportunity for you to review our data options that are in testing right now. Normally, we do not talk about product in test, but today we are unveiling for you what is coming to be available to use not only on the Revolution, but on the Fixed Station and other platforms. The first one is our digital clipboard. You see in the slide, there is a picture of a clipboard with paper and a pen. That's very common, but of course, there's some risk that you could lose the pen, that the writing is hard to read. And if you then transfer this to the computer, you may make mistakes in that transition. Moreover, as we all face the challenges of a COVID-19 world, it's very difficult to sanitize paper and pen without ruining your sheet. Whereas when this is loaded on the Revolution or our other collector options, it is possible to sanitize that system more readily. So in this inspection option, you get to customize your checklist. And then you hand the tablet or the Revolution to the person taking this list, and they can freely roam through your plant, validating what needs to be validated. This gives you the traceability and integrity because the data goes back to that central database, and then you can pull the data to look at it. This is something that can be used in any environment. Next slide, please. So take a look at what this digital clipboard looks like. You see the display on the Revolution as well as the display on a tablet. And this, again, lets you customize your checklist. You create what you want people to be looking at. Your auditor is prompted to examine and evaluate the items on the checklist and can even receive feedback as they enter data as to whether it is acceptable or must be rejected. Once again, this goes to your database so other people can see that data, not just the operator. Again, this is in our testing phase, and we're working towards being able to release this product. It's not available at this moment. Can we go to the next slide, please? The next soon-to-be released application is called V-Spect. This is a visual attribute data collection option. This, as you can see from your screen, I can actually see my product in front of me. As I notice on the piece I am examining a defect, I can select the appropriate quadrant on the grid and identify where my defect lives. I can then not only add details to that defect, but additional traceability like labels, the area that is responsible, and what action I take on this. Once again, this goes to our database. So let's take a look at more detailed with an issue with the mini lights. Next slide, please. So here we found an issue with the mini lights. We were able to go in and you can see there's label information like year, make, model. You have those defects that you're picking from, and you can even take a photo of the area with the defect that can be tied to this database and then send it back to the Datametrics database. Next slide, let's talk about Teo's favorite, the escalation option. ESCALATE is our automated multi-tier notification and escalation system. You customize this. You pick what triggers alarms and escalation. You identify who is notified first. If they don't respond, who then is notified after that? And then again, if it's not resolved, who is the next line all the way up through the top of the chain. Now with this escalation, we can see results not only in our regular reporting software, but if you go to the next screen, we can get results. Next slide, please. We can get results on what is being audited. And you see in this view, if I have something in the gray, it just means nobody inspected this application. If I see it in the green, it was inspected and all is well. But if I see red, it means that there was an event that is out of spec or out of control or something that triggered an alarm. It also tells me how many times an alarm was triggered. And then you can drill down and get a little bit more information about the alarm conditions, or once again, move to our Insight, which is your analysis and reporting tool. And in our event report, you can go down to the characteristic level or move to a control chart, a histogram, whatever you prefer, to see more details on the issue that is tracked on your escalation report. So there is a sneak peek into our applications that are now in testing, and we hope to be able to bring them to you in the near future. Next slide, and I'll turn this back over to Theo or Melissa.
That's okay. So to summarize and to end this small presentation, I hope that we were not long. I think we made about 45 minutes, so I think we're nearly to the end. So to summarize, the transition from the 600 data collector is seamless. As we said, true, we have the same setups, so there is an interchangeability, no need to rebuild setups, the characteristics, the gauges, whatever. So the Revolution can integrate into your existing network. If you have 600 or even 501s, the 600 will, the Revolution will fit in that and work with the same database. So the Revolution is loaded with features that allow for an enhanced data collection process, including improved user interface. It's more user-friendly, enlarged screen with touch screen capability, and increases the visual insights into the collected data. It's not just a data collector. The Revolution is a data intelligent device, and you saw that we have already 3 apps which will be released after beta testing, which will integrate it in this intelligent device that allows you to collect, analyze, communicate, act on your data. Because of the central DataMyte Datametrics database, the Revolution can leverage new DataMyte software solutions to deliver innovative ways to further reinforce data integrity, traceability, and corrective actions. What I would like to inform is that we have a trade-in incentive. Those who have former generations of data collectors, 600s or maybe 501s, etc., sometimes still have 3000s, which are 20 years old, but they still work. But DataMyte is currently offering a buyback program. So based on when you purchased your data collectors, you may be eligible for free trade-in or a discount. So inquire with ESI DataMyte Italy, your team in nearby Torino, to communicate with them, and they will inform you about the possibilities. So if there are questions, I think, Melissa, maybe you can give some more information how to do that. They can write that down, or how does this work?
Thanks, Theo and Vicki, for your presentation. At this time, I do not have any immediate questions that have come in from the attendees. So in an effort to keep everyone on time as well, we are coming up on the 1 hour point for the presentation. We don't want to take up too much time. So I'd like to conclude our webinar for today. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to your team at ESI DataMyte in Italy. And we look forward to helping you revolutionize the way you are managing your portable data collection today. And thank you, and ciao.
So thank you, Melissa. So at best, I think we can conclude here. And again, I thank everybody to be present. And okay, we hear from you next time. Thank you.